I'll bring it down for you. He would just direct you to where your mind has to go, like in order to understand the thing. So, but he would not. So in fact, they described that when he was here in America, he was here in America for a while. He came for family chasna. He stayed for a few months, but they say that they saw Rabbi Yehuda, maybe at the chasna, that they saw Rabbi Yehuda was then up at Bach. He went over to him and asked him something, and he answered him. And Rabbi Yehuda walked away, and he was walking back and forth, walking back and forth. Then he went back to him. And he said something to him, and he was walking back like the whole night. But like he wouldn't go into he would just like give you the point, and you had to like, if you could work it out, you could work it out. But he wasn't gonna. But nowadays they never asked that we should try to make it. To some degree you have to do it for yourself. I mean, otherwise you're not gonna be able to. But you have to know when what you're doing. When it's Isis Harav and when it's not. When you're more focusing on trying to bring it down to yourself. But for the Rabbeim themselves, there's this process of bringing it down from the way they see it to the way they can communicate it to someone who's Baal Seichel Katan Shaloi Be'erach. So that's us, and So he says, so what's the advantage of the mashal? There's still in the parentheses, the mashal has to fit. But the advantage is mashal karei ve'elav, that the mashal is close to him. It talks about matters that he can relate to. Because it's closer, it's more relatable. That's why, because it's relatable to him, he can grasp, from the mashal, he can grasp the nimshal, he can grasp the lesson that's being dressed up in this little story. And this is what our sages said, that a person should always, Yeshana here is talking, is the large word, the same root as the word used for Mishnah. So Yeshana here means when you're teaching points. You're teaching individual points, so Yeshana Adam L'Talmidei B'derech Tzara, you should teach it in a short form, in a short way. Make the point. You made the point. Now let the student sweat over the point, but you have to make the point. Keep it brief. Which is to say that the Rebbe should not reveal to him the depth and the expansiveness as it is by him, which is not relative to the capacity of the Mekabel. He has to find a derech tzara. A derech tzara doesn't mean just say less words. You gotta figure out how am I going to pack what I want to get across into the least amount of words. It's not just start chopping words.
Marketing.
What?
Marketing.
Sometimes you're right. Sometimes marketing. You have to be able to write. You're trying to say as much as you can in as few words as you can. But here we're talking about he's trying to convey very deep ideas and concepts. But rather, he has to find a short way that it should not be revealed within it all of the panemius, all of the inside of what's being contained in these few words. Hainu ha'omek, oirach, v'roichav shaloi. This is one of those unusual abbreviations, which you can only understand when it's in the context. But it's the depth, the length, and the expansiveness, the broadness of it. That way it is by him. Only what's the fiyarach hamekabel according to the capacity of the mekabel, and that also only how much depth and how much length in terms of detail and how much expansiveness in terms of how far it goes. The length is more like in terms of bringing it down. So you have to do it based on what the Makabel can receive, and even that, he has to reveal that to him in brief words. Still in all, even though that's what it says, we understand that Chazal are not telling him, they're not telling you to teach him less. This that it says that he should teach his student in a way that's in a brief way. Take him down a short road. Don't try to drag him down a long road. The intent of Chazal was not to tell you don't pack into that the pnimius and atrius of your seichel. It's not telling you that what you really understand, what you really think, it's not for him, don't even bother. No, it's saying you have to pack into that everything that the depth and the innermost aspect of your insight and understanding, pack that into that short, brief comment, statement, message. Because if so, it's not taking a short road. It's not a kiyum k'may sechel acher. It says don't give him what you know. Give him what he can handle. That's like a different seichel. It's not telling you give him a different seichel. It's saying give him all that you got. Throw everything at him. But in this idea, in whatever, obviously one idea at a time. But put everything you have in that idea. Package it in a short way. Doesn't say give them something else. Give each one what they can handle. What Chazal meant were the seichel, that essential seichel, the way it is, the way you yourself understand it, the way you yourself see it, the way you yourself experience it, the way you yourself relate to it, connect to it, see it. That seichel, that's what you should be teaching him. Yeah. But you should be teaching him in a way of a derech ketzara, in a short way.
You kind of have to do that anyways to bring something that's in our mind into words to be able to give it over to anybody.
That is a packaging, a process that's also connected to the idea of taking something more abstract and packaging it, putting it into words. But that's not what he's talking about here. That is true. But here he's trying to give an analogy for the internal creative process that I'm doing. I'm engaged in self-expression and self-containment at the same time. That's I'm all for the purpose of revealing to you what you can handle. Right? That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to reveal to you what you can handle. So I have to go into self-containment mode, but the self-containment mode is not to give you something different. The self-containment mode is to give it to you in a way that you could at least get something out of it. But it's all there. You're not ready to get all of it. What's going to come through to you is only what you're ready to receive, but it has to be packaged. But the Chazal telling you put it all in there. So I'm being totally self-expressive. I'm giving everything. I'm not holding anything back, but I'm packaging it in such a way that it's like it's being all held back, and I'm delivering it, so I'm fully expressing it and very extensively covering it up at the same time.
Isn't that what Gemara is?
That's Mishnah. He's going to explain. That's Mishnah. Gemara is unpacking.
I'm saying now that we're unpacking.
Right, and so then yes, Rishonim are unpacking the Gemara, and Acharayim are unpacking the Rishonim, and we're unpacking the right. So but Mishnah was set up that way, it was structured that way, as he's going to explain. What does that mean that Sichlei Atzmi Lamdenu B'derech Tzara should give over the Seichel as it is be'etzem inside him, v'aynu shebehelim, yesh v'hashpo kol eimek sichli v'chachmasi v'amuskalahu, that in a concealed state, it's in a concealed state. The student has no access to it at this point, but in a concealed state, within that hashpa of seichel is contained the entire depth of his seichel and his wisdom in that intellectual idea, in that concept. Except that it is completely covered up, right? We're talking about like Mishnah, we're talking about like Torah teachings that deal with revealed matters. But it's covered up completely in the subject matter, because here we're talking about halacha. We switched before we were talking about just the accounts. Here we're talking about more in halacha. So now it's in the details and in the diktuke Torah. The Torah has, besides the fact that the individual subjects, there's also a lot of exacting rules, minutiae, small, this, yeah, this not, this. So you're getting caught up, and also in the language, there's also dikdukim, like say it this way, don't say it that way. Everything is so, but in Torah, everything is so exact that you get. So now it's within those details. It's all completely, the depth of the sale is completely hidden within those details. You could. And the like, that is concealed the depth of the innermost aspect and the essential aspect, meaning as his own self experience of that, of his wisdom in that. My Mishnah, like the Mishnah that Rabbeinu HaKadosh ordered for us. So besides for the fact that it's a kitzer of Chazal say that there was that they had many hundreds of Masechtas of Mishnayos when they were still being transmitted by word of mouth. Different Chazals talk about different numbers of hundreds of prakim of Mishnayos. But the Rabbeinu HaKadosh, he, besides it being the kitzer of all of that, it is a kitzer mikol adichas hapilpul. That this is a concise, brief compilation of the entire length of pilpul. The back of pilpul is the back and forth. The depth, length, and broadness that they had in this subject when they were debating these halachas. Shana lanu kozer Rabbeinu HaKadosh b'lashon HaMishnah b'kitzur nimritz. Rabbeinu HaKadosh taught us all that in the language of the Mishnah with extreme brevity. Sheyiyah lefi erkeinu, in order that it should be according to our capacities. It should be that we could be shayach to understanding it. Amnam be'emes yesh b'lashon HaMishnah kol eimek eirech v'reichiv pnimius v'atzmius chachmasim. But the fact is that in truth there is contained within the language of the Mishnah the entire depth, length, and breadth of the innermost and essential aspect of their wisdom, meaning the wisdom of the sages. And in fact, if you look in Kuntres Eitz HaChaim, when he talks about the proper derech halimud and nigla, the Rebbe Rashab talks about how you should always go back and connect everything to the language of the Mishnah. You should always try to see where it's actually alluded to in the language of the Mishnah, because you get all caught up in the backs and forths and different opinions and this is that, and so you have to like trace it all back, see how it all flows from the Mishnah. וכמה שבגמרא, ובוא אחר כך פרטי לושן המשנה בעמק, ערך ריח וריח וכולי. Like in the Gemara is explained afterwards the details of the language of the Mishnah in depth, at length, and in breadth. ובמשנה בהלכה. In the Mishnah it is in a way of concealment. So we're back to the Nada Mashpia who's teaching deep and abstract godly ideas. So similarly in the Ashpa of the Seichel, that the Mashpia covers up, conceals within the Shefa, within what he is giving over to the student, he conceals within it the entire depth of his wisdom, except that it is hidden from view of the recipient. So what does shine forth in a revealed way to the recipient? That is only the external aspect of the seichel that is according to his level, according to his capacity. Oh, but this power, this power that the mashpia has, this power that exists within the mashpia to constrain and cover up his essential intellect, that's in the power of limitation, that is to impose limits that exist within his koyach hamaskil, as mentioned previously, and we learned last week and mentioned in the review at the beginning. So that all comes from the same source that produces the ideas, is the same source that it produces that is the capacity to package and constrain the ideas. So he says, all of this constraint and concealment is only relative to the recipient and not relative to the mashpia. So the Gabi Mashpia made begilu kol eimek sichlei v'chachmasei v'aseichel ha'metzumtzum k'may shehoya kaidem shenis tzamtzem. By the Mashpia, it's all there. He sees it in the seichel, even in the limited packaging, and even the limitation that he imposed on himself internally in the communication, not just the words that he put it into, but he sees in that seichel on the tzumtzum where he packaged it internally before he delivered it, he sees within it all of the depth, just like it was before he contained it. And even in the Masholim, not just in the more tightly packaged version of the Seichel, but even in the Masholim, which are foreign to the Seichel, he sees in the Masholim, he sees the entire depth of the Seichel. The Mashpia, he's the one who produced the Mashal. Not only in the constrained version of the Seichel, shines forth for him, is leichtet by him. He sees Kol Emek HaSeichel, the entire depth of the Seichel, but also even in the analogies, the examples, the metaphors, he sees that in Kol Prate HaNimshul, all the details of the Nimshul, K'meishu Etzlai, as it was by him, Mufshit Mikol Lavush, B'tzimtzum B'helim. As it is, the way it was in its most abstract form, when it was from any coverings, any constrictions, any concealments. I'm not going to, we'll stop here, but I'll tell you, because he's going to give an example, which I'm not going to be able to get into over here. But his point is, he's going to tell us, which we'll discuss also in Shemot Land, next year he's going to tell us that not only does he see it all in the Mashal, but actually by making it more concrete, he benefits. Because now the same idea that by him was purely abstract is actually more concrete, and he can relate to it on the physical level also. He doesn't have to, the mashpia, or you want to say the Rebbe, it doesn't only see godliness when he's off in the higher realms. He sees it all in the most concrete reality. He sees it just as much because he sees that how that's the nimshul to the mashal. He sees the nimshul and the mashal. He sees how the physicality of this world is all only a mashal. See, he sees the nimshul and the mashal. See, so for him, what that added to what he was before was all purely in abstract, spiritual, godly reality. And now he actually, by bringing it down to the makabel, he is actually able to, in concrete terms, that enables him. He in of himself has a big struggle, or Rebbe has a big struggle connecting to the concrete physical reality, because but it's not even on his radar screen, because he's living in a whole different reality. But by bringing it down to the makabel, he also is able to, because of this point that he's making, that he sees every detail of the depth of his insight and understanding, the way he experiences it, the way he experiences that as he's completely abstract from any students, from any explanations, from any packaging, from anything. And he's able to see when he does package it, and he does deliver it, and he does bring it down, and he does dress it up in a mashal, that makes it possible for him to see and relate and experience it even on that lowly, concrete level, which is, as he's going to explain in the maamar, actually the ultimate point of the exercise of. But we shall see.
That's what Rebbe Rashab's giving over our maamar.
Is the